everybody. Welcome back to the Routine Podcast.
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 62.
And back in my basement. And back with the puppies.
Another good weekend in the books.
Oh, it was. Lots of stuff going on in our lives. Long story short, my son's birthday is this week.
His golden birthday.
It is. And I am never happier unless I'm surrounded by my children. Which is, I guess, different than what I said in the podcast last week.
Yeah. It's funny how that changed, right? I like my dog so much better than my actual children.
I didn't say that. You said which was easier, is what you said.
I did.
So we just finished a really good weekend of cooking and eating and celebrating. So we're in good moods right now.
Family time.
Yes. I love family time.
And we got so many great comments.
I know.
We say that every week, but you guys went ham last episode.
Yeah, and they were great comments.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't get a voicemail.
We did not.
But that's okay. Maybe people are saving themselves up for season.
Which is okay.
And I also think the comments that we're getting are detailed and comprehensive. And so maybe writing it gives you the chance to really put your thoughts together. That's the excuse I'm giving you all. I still think it could be a voicemail, but it's okay. We got lots of comments.
We did. We actually got an email from Lindsay, and she said, "Hi guys, new listener here. Just wanted to stop in and let you guys know how much I enjoy your podcast. All I could think when I heard your podcast for the first time was, oh man, these ladies are just like me. Also, you guys have a lovely mother-daughter relationship.
Oh.
And you two are so lucky to have each other to share this sport together and create these long-lasting memories.
So true.
I could only dream of having someone to gym nerd out with, so a mother-daughter duo makes it extra special. So cheers to you two and keep it up."
Is that the best
I know.
comment?
Such a good comment. And it's so true because not only have mom and I been doing this podcast for like the past year and a half, but I've been doing gymnastics my entire life. So it really is like this lifelong thing that you and I have been doing together.
It's true. And I don't know if you can remember as much as I can remember, but when Chelsea was, I don't know, we'll say like level 5, level 6, when she would pull her hair up in one big bun, right? Because that's what you do at that level.
Yeah.
You know, she would stand on her bed, because of course, even then Chelsea was very tall with these long legs.
Yeah.
And I'd put lotion on your legs. Do you remember that?
It was like a whole
It
ordeal.
was a whole ordeal. The night before, we're putting rollers in your hair.
Yeah.
You're nervous about competing.
Yeah.
It became this, no matter whether you did well or whether you didn't do so well. You and I in the hotel talking about the experience, eating. Mm-hmm. It was this real big bonding thing that we did.
Yeah. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep.
And we're happy that you found us and you can join Gymnastics Conversations with us. Because
Absolutely.
we love talking about gymnastics with other people.
Absolutely. You're a gym nerd along with us.
Yes.
And we also got an email from Elspeth, and she says, "I wanted to write and let you know that the stories about your journeys to see NCAA meets inspired me to take a gymnastics trip myself. I live in the St. Louis area and did a road trip over to Louisville for the GK Classic. No trains, no Mustangs, or possibly bed-bug-infested beds needed. It was great. Seeing an elite gym meet had been on my bucket list for a long time, and seeing so many talented gymnasts in one place did not disappoint. It was also very different to see the meet in person instead of telecast or on YouTube. What's great about this is we've inspired people to travel to meets."
I know. And then she also talked a little bit about what she saw at Classics. She said, "Of course, there was Simone, ... no words."
So true.
But I did want to send a shout out to Trinity Thomas and Michaela Skinner. It was great to see them competing and doing so well. Not sure if this was translated in the telecast, but there was, let's say, an aura of maturity and confidence all around them on the podium and off. Seeing them with their foam rollers and, dare I say, one of them eating a banana, and I thought, now that's an athlete at work. The crowd was small and relatively quiet compared to what they are used to now, but they seem to be enjoying themselves. Thanks for all you do and keep up the good work.
That's great. You know, we've talked about this before. If you have not had the chance to see a meet in person,
Elite or NCAA.
Exactly.
Because I don't know if you remember, but what really kind of got us into watching gymnastics live was whatever meet was in Indianapolis, I think in like 2015.
I remember Lori Hernandez.
Right. And when Lori was still a junior.
Yeah.
Our
Maggie Nichols.
Yeah. We saw Alia.
If you think Maggie is amazing now, do you remember Maggie back then?
Yeah. But that was the first meet that we saw live together. The first major meet that we saw live. And that kind of just kick-started us into where we are today.
Yeah, because it's different. I mean, it's beautiful watching it on TV. I think for me, television boxes you in on what you see and what you think.
Exactly. The commentators, they create this narrative that may not be so true, but then you as the viewer are hooked on that storyline.
Well, that's the only one you can follow.
Right.
Because that's what you're being told.
Yeah.
And when you're there in person, you create your own storyline. And Elspeth, we're so glad you shared with us your travels as well.
But speaking of classics and Michaela Skinner.
Yeah, that interview that we did was so much fun.
I didn't think we would get as much pickup as we did.
I did. Because it was just such a good interview.
And
she was
very, very good.
She was so personable and genuine.
Genuine, yeah.
And honest. Just honest about what she was going through.
Mature. She was very well spoken. She actually placed 16th in the all-around. And again, she's only been training for 2 months now.
Exactly.
So I would say that's a win for her.
Wasn't it exciting watching her?
It was. And knowing that we talked to her, like it was just so cool to watch her knowing what we knew.
Yeah. And I was so nervous for her when she was sitting there waiting to go up. I was just so nervous for her because we knew kind of the trials and tribulations that she had done just to make it to that moment right there to be able to compete.
Yeah. And what's funny about the interview too is that it all just kind of happened to be that we released the episode 2 days before she was competing, which was so funny. Like we did not plan that. And then as we were putting together the show last week, I was like, wait, she's competing this weekend. This is perfect.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
So we actually got a tweet from @PoorLawyer, and he said, the Michaela Skinner interview on the Routine podcast was well done. Michaela is thoughtful, congenial, and articulate. The way she expressed her anxieties and goals were concrete and approachable. I also enjoyed the discussion about continuity and change in the sport. Great comment.
Absolutely. And that was one of many tweets that we heard about Michaela's interview.
I think overall, the consensus was people were very happy about how honest she was, not only in her comeback, but also with the changes going on in USAG.
I think it was that and honest about how there were good things about what happened before and the toughness that she learned. But there were really good things about how things are now and how, as an athlete, she understands and recognizes the difference. And she did a really good job of explaining that.
I think that's what comes with a mature athlete. Because a lot of times these gymnasts are fresh out of high school, if not younger. So they don't even really know what to think themselves or even how to articulate what they're thinking. But because Michaela is 22, 21 years old, she's able to really reflect on her experiences and how they can be better.
Yeah, I mean, nothing beats experience.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and she's had it. She has a different appreciation for her ability and her body. You kind of went through that too when you went to college. I mean, I think when you do club gymnastics, there's a fearlessness, I think, about how you can kind of do anything forever. That when you get older, you know that forever is not.
Yeah. So I'm happy you all enjoyed Michaela's interview. And again, thank you, Michaela, for speaking with us.
Absolutely. And thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad,
and
for the
thanks,
technical.
Mom, because she talked about Mom, too.
Yeah. So moving on, this past weekend were the Pan American Games. We actually got a tweet from @ElizabethWatts1, and she said, "I hope you all discuss the Pan American Games on this week's episode." Actually, at the time of the recording, it's just beginning. So
I was going to say, I don't think I've watched it, Chelsea. Was I supposed to be watching something?
The only thing that's happened so far is that the women's team won its 5th straight team title, so congratulations to them. But one thing to note about the Pan American Games is that there are several NCAA gymnasts competing, which is really exciting. Shallon Olsen, Mom's favorite
beam routine
from Alabama, is competing for Canada. Danusha Francis, who is on UCLA, is competing for Jamaica, as well as Tony Ann
Yay,
Williams.
Tony Ann.
Tony Ann is back. She just got hurt in February, and she's competing.
I know.
Crazy, right? Sandra Colantes from Boise State, Ariana Orrego from Iowa State, and Simona Castro from Denver.
They're all competing.
So congrats to all of those gymnasts.
And good luck. We also heard from Mario de la Cruz, who says...
This is the first time seeing it.
I am, and I'm getting tickled even reading it. But it's so true. He says, Mom has another Finnegan to swoon over. Can't wait for the next podcast.
Yeah, so Sarah's younger sister, which is like perfect timing, Alia, is on the Pan Americans team.
Okay, so here's the deal. We were watching the U.S. Classic, and Chelsea's in, her place, and I'm at my place, just cooking and watching and, checking out Michaela and checking out Trinity and getting excited. And, of course, watching Simone. And then I saw this young lady standing in front of the beam. And I thought, she stands like Sarah Finnegan, literally. And then they started talking about, and she's a Finnegan. I'm like, no.
One retires and another one comes in.
And she was beautiful.
Yeah, she is a really pretty gymnast.
And I was like her biggest fan that night.
And she's going to LSU.
Is it this year coming? Or does she have another year?
She's trying for the Olympics. I don't know what year. I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But in a couple of years, she's going to be on LSU.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful like her sister. Although, you know what? We're not going to talk about her sister anymore.
No, she is her own gymnast.
That's exactly right. And what's her first name?
Alia.
Alia, I'm your biggest fan. Not because of your sister, though, because of you.
Because you're a beautiful gymnast.
That's right.
So that's all of the U.S. Classic talk that we have scheduled for today, because there's a whole lot more that we want to discuss.
I know, and we can only do like 45 minutes.
I know, the Gymtranet was off the chain this week.
It was.
Speaking of LSU, we actually got a comment from @SJ for the World, and they said, "Thank you for the discussion on pay disparities in Title IX. It's only because of decades of investment in girls' soccer programs that the U.S. women's national team is so profitable. As long as the pay disparities continue, women's sports will be less profitable." I agree. Mark is wrong. Which I don't think Mark was, at least...
Well, we just have to explain, for those that don't remember, Mark tweeted a very good tweet, very factual.
Factual, yeah.
About the amount of money that football made. And I think he said something along the lines of all women's sports combined. We're not even close to equaling what football made. If you look at bottom lines, is that they lost more money than came in.
Which I think is a fact we all kind of knew. We just didn't want to bring it to light.
No.
But if you're going to have like a conversation about this stuff, you got to look at all sides.
And just to continue this thought, and Chelsea, hopefully you can share the link, but at TMKWB2 found an article that I think was fascinating.
Yeah, so LSU football this past week shared video about their new locker room that they got.
And first of all, I don't think it should just be called a locker room.
Right.
When I think of a locker room, I think of the little metal doors that you open and you close.
There's no metal doors.
It's beautiful.
It's like little pods.
Sleeping pods.
Every athlete has their own pod.
Unbelievable.
It's $28 million.
Yes.
Is what it costs.
$28 million locker room.
So obviously not everyone is happy that that amount of money was spent on the locker room.
And see, I have no problem at all with that. Although you mentioned something about the library's not that nice.
Exactly. So people are saying
that bothers me.
People are saying that other parts of the campus need more attention. But the $28 million was given by a private donor.
Well, then does that mean the private donor couldn't have donated to the library?
They wanted to give it to the
sleeping pods. I'm not going to be a hater on this one. Although I do care about libraries. I do care about reading. I do care about education. But it's amazing, this facility.
And I think the reason why we're including this in today's episode is that the football team does make so much more money compared to the other sports at LSU.
Right.
So is it a matter of they make the money so they can decide where the money goes? Or is it, again, all one big bucket that athletics uses?
Well, in this particular case, too, it isn't that they made the money. The money was donated. But the sleeping pods are really nice.
I know, right? I wish I had a sleeping pod.
Oh, no, I don't, because you would never go to class.
I would sleep, though.
You would sleep. And again, I think when they talk about it, it's really... And I know you had that issue, right? As an athlete, you had gyms that were on either side of campus. You know, you had one gym on one side of campus and one gym on another side of campus. Your dorm and then your apartment was on another side of campus. Classes were in another place. So trying to figure out how you could complete everything in a day was tough.
You know what would be better than a sleeping pod, though? Getting paid for the work that you put in.
Oh, boy. Now, that's a whole different subject.
Take that $28 million and pay the athletes.
Well, for me, I'm just glad they didn't take the $28 million and pay another coach.
That's true.
At least it went to the athletes.
A sleeping pod isn't going to help me get a job later on. A sleeping pod isn't helping me pay for my food at night.
Can I just say, the athletes looked pretty excited about these sleeping pods.
That's all they could get. It's that or a T-shirt.
All right, we are digressing.
So moving on to current events in NCAA gym.
Lots of them.
This first story, I was shook, as the kids say.
Shook.
The LA Times came out with an article last week about Maria Carey and how she magically ended up on the UCLA Gymnastics team roster.
Well, no, she was a gymnast. Let's not get carried away. Now,
did you read the article, though?
Of course I did. And she did gymnastics at some point in her life, which makes her a gymnast.
I mean, again,
we need to give the story. We haven't given the story.
Okay.
I think it has to do similarly with what's been going on with the parents who have
admission scandal.
That's right, who've paid money to help their children get admitted into schools. Well, lo and behold, this article in the LA Times would make it seem as if it also happened on the UCLA gymnastics team. We don't know that, right? But this journalist is reporting that this young lady was on the team, and it's really questionable of how much gymnastics talent she actually has. Is that the best way to say that?
I think that's the best
nice
politically
way.
correct way to talk about it.
Good.
Which is very true. We don't know what her status is, but the part in the article that makes me kind of like...
Yeah, the problem is...
tilt my head is that her uncle and Miss Val were very close friends.
Property records show that they owned a condominium together in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it makes you go,
And that's still okay. But again, whenever the investigative reporter tried to fill in the blanks, he called the gym. He called other gymnasts that competed at the gym. And they all were just like, huh?
Who?
What?
Yeah, and not only did they do that, her coach, who said, what? It was not a good look, let's say that.
And I think what makes it almost kind of a little bit worse is that no
It
one's
can be worse.
no one's
bad.
owning up to anything.
Well, you can't own up to it now, Chels. What's the point now?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the question that I would ask you is that, does it matter?
It does matter.
Why?
No doubt at all.
Why?
It does matter. Some people would say it's cheating. It hurts the quality and the integrity of the sport.
I think you're hurting other gymnasts that actually could be walk-ons at the school.
That's true, too.
Because she's taking a spot.
That's true, too, but that's small for me.
Yeah, but
That's small for
there's
me.
only so many spots, period, across the country.
I agree with that, but I also think that it's a bigger issue.
I think ethically, yeah.
That's right. Ethically, what are you teaching people? Mm-hmm. And again, we only know what we read in the article. If any of it's true.
Mm-hmm. Again, this is all kind of alleged.
But it's a stain on the sport. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's a question of what other schools is that happening at?
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it's a lot more common than we think.
Let's hope not. So Chelsea hopefully will put a link to the article.
I will, yes.
But again, it's something to look at.
It's a head scratcher.
It is.
But another article, Utah Gymnastics actually submitted to the Pac-12 to increase scholarships from 12 to 14, similar to what LSU did with the SEC earlier.
Yep, we had it on our podcast a month or so ago, and so Utah was going by the way of LSU and trying to get those additional scholarships. This decision really is about access. So, very similar to the story we just talked about, where every spot is important. If we had 2 more spots, how that would really enhance the sport even more and allow more athletes to go to college gymnastics.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't have to fake that you're a gymnast to...
That's wrong, Chelsea. It's true.
I just had to say it. If you had those spots, maybe more people could be on the team.
You could save one. Save one for your friends.
But I mean, I think it's the wave of the future with the way that postseason is changing, the way that the sport is growing. I think they had that same statistics where the amount of gymnasts out there in JO is just continuing to increase, but the number of gymnastics teams, and we'll actually get to that in our main discussion today, but teams are unfortunately decreasing. We're losing gymnastics programs. So, it's just kind of backwards.
Yep. To your point that you said earlier, I'm a proponent of it for safety.
Which at the end of the day is most important.
Absolutely.
And
are we still into the college or this news in the news you can use segment?
Oh, I like that. News you can use. Okay, Mom. I like that. This one, it is.
This one's
news
a sad
you can
one,
use.
right?
Yeah, but it also goes into our main discussion of the Collegiate Growth Initiative. But unfortunately, the University of Alaska gymnastics program is kind of on the rocks.
Well, University of Alaska school in general is on the rocks.
Yeah. Athletics, academics, everything at the University of Alaska.
Yeah. We've got a governor in Alaska who is making significant cuts to many state programs. Medicaid, health and social services are some of those cuts. But the biggest cut is going to the University of Alaska. And we're not obviously going to get into the politics of why, but from a women's sport perspective,
it's no good.
It's not good. And they've already lost one athlete who's decided not to roll the dice to see whether the team continues or not.
Unfortunately, this is for the 2020 season. So this is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And their lives are in limbo right now. And like you said, freshman gymnast last year, Alia Marvell, has already said, nope, I'm not going to take that chance. So she ended her gymnastics career and is now attending University of Wyoming.
Yeah. And I think what you shared with me, which I think is a good point, we can argue about people not being able to continue their gymnastics career and how horrible that is. But in many cases, they're going to school and getting an education because the school is paying and has given them a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And when the school ends the program, it could end their ability to go to college.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that could be the same truth for a lot of the other members on the team.
So we'll continue to keep you updated. It looks like the budget cuts are going to go through at this point. They weren't able to override the governor's veto.
And what's really sad about this situation, I mean, all of it's sad, obviously, but the improvements that the University of Alaska gymnastics team made over this past year.
Was it good?
Yeah, has been remarkable.
Wow. We'll keep a watch on it. Hopefully, we're not talking about another school losing its gymnastics program.
That's 2 schools in like less than 6 months.
Right. Today's episode is brought to you by Full Out Collegiate Recruiting. It's your go-to resource for college gymnastics recruitment. Maximize your exposure to college coaches with Full Out's 3 do-it-yourself workbooks that guide you through the entire college recruiting process, from determining which schools to target to how to talk to college coaches.
To get your own workbook, visit their website at fulloutrecruit.com and click Shop Workbooks. Enter promo code ROUTINE at checkout to receive $10 off your workbook purchase.
Well, that gets us to our interview. We had the chance to talk to former UCLA coach Randy Lane. He heads up an initiative that's called the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative. We got the chance to catch up with him about why this program is so important to the sport of gymnastics.
I don't know if you all remember, but when we were at Nationals, the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative, or CGGI, actually put on the Flippin' 5K Festival, which was so much fun.
It was.
But that's really where we got connected with Randy and a lot of the other people that were supporting this initiative.
In addition to talking to Randy, we also got the chance to talk to former gymnast and brand new assistant coach at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, Robyn McGee. We paired both Randy and Robyn together in this segment because they're both going for the same goal in different ways. Mm-hmm. And so we just thought it was a good package to present about the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative. So we are joined by Coach Randy Lane. Hi, Randy.
Good morning or good afternoon there. Hi, how are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good. I know we're going to talk about the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative, but before we do that, we've got to talk about you and what you're doing and what's going on. Fill us in.
Well, I have stepped away from the coaching world in the collegiate realm just for a little while. I decided this year I need to really work on myself and also help the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative by helping our sport grow. I think that's one of the most important things that I can contribute in our sport. And so I'm really going to take that on this year and hopefully run with it and do some great things and get some programs added around the country. That's kind of what I'm doing with the sport. I've also decided to venture out on my own and help with all the knowledge I have after 26 years of coaching collegiate gymnastics. I think I have a little knowledge, maybe just a little. I want to share that wisdom with young athletes and parents and coaches and help them through the recruiting process with some type of workshop that I'm working out right now. So hoping to help young women continue to find opportunities that suit them.
Wow, that's a great idea. Can we talk a little bit about UCLA?
Sure.
Sure. So you're not going to be coaching there next year. Very disappointed. I'm sure there are reasons behind that, but how much can you share with us?
It was a very tumultuous year, if that's the word I want to use. Obviously, a lot of great things happened at UCLA this past year, but for me, having coached there off and on for 26 years, I've learned a lot, and I appreciate what I've taken from there, and I hope that I can give that knowledge that I've learned at UCLA through my mentor to actually go out in the world and help more universities and more athletes understand the joy of college gymnastics, because that's what it's all about. I think, at UCLA, I learned a great deal about coaching because I was very young when I started there, and I'm a little bit older now.
You're still a baby, though, in my eyes.
I'm still a baby. Yeah, that's it. I love the relationships that I have fostered through the years there and other places that I've worked, and those are the most important things to me. So I really take great pride in knowing that I still am in the lives of the young women that I've coached throughout my career everywhere. So that will never end and that will never go away. With the coaching change at UCLA, we knew Chris and I both were up for the position, and they had to choose one of us. And I know that we both wanted to have our own ideas and create our own program if we were there. And I would have done the same thing as him, is found a new coaching staff that would bring new energy and new life to the program. I will never walk away from the sport because it's created me as the person I am today. So I feel that it's just another step in my journey to go on and move forward and do better things down the road. It hurts a little bit at first. I think the hard part was, and I know this is probably true for Val, is once it hits you that you're no longer going to work with the young women that you work with. It's very, very difficult. When you're in their lives every day and then all of a sudden you're not. It definitely has a little bit of a stab in the heart. So, but I'm sure, with due time, I will pick back up and start doing wonderful things with other young women along the way.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative. Talk to our listeners about exactly what that is.
The Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative was actually started by me many, many years ago. We had a lot of programs that were dropping during a major period in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And I was a young coach at that point, and I'm like, we need to do something to save our sport. We called it something else. I don't know if I can say that on a podcast, but saving our butts would be kind of the nice sum it up. Sadly, our sport has been dropped because a lot of athletic directors don't understand. They don't understand what we're about. But I think with the popularity of our sport over these past couple of years, especially, it's incredible to see how people are now perceiving us that they didn't perceive us before. So our committee's main function, mission, goal is to create more opportunities and create awareness about collegiate gymnastics so that we can create more opportunities in the future. This summer alone, we have already made 2 presentations to 2 different universities. So with us being able to get in the door and actually talk about gymnastics and get people excited, we're trying every avenue that we can to get athletic directors to understand that we're a great sport and we want to grow. How do we do that? The world would not be the same place without money. So unfortunately, our sport is very difficult. So we're trying to find different avenues to create a program to be easier in setting up. For example, Lindenwood, when they started their program, they reached out to a local gymnastics club, and that is where they train. So they don't have the facility costs that most universities do. That's the model that we're trying to use with a lot of programs so that they can get started. I thank you to Lindenwood and Jen Llewellyn for doing great things there to help our sport along the way. This past year, I took on the task of taking over and chairing the committee with Mike Rowe, who's the Michigan State head coach, and Jenny Hansen, who's the University of Minnesota head coach. I went in and was like a little bull in a china shop, and I said, okay, these are the goals we are going to set for our committee. And I said, we're going to raise $100,000. And everyone looked at me like, what are you talking about? We'd had invitationals in the past that had tacked on $1 to each of their registration for kids to be in their competition. So this year, our goal was to get 25 invitationals to sign on for that. And we had over 25. So that was a really good thing. That one extra dollar, it goes a long way in helping us. That money was a significant amount to raise. We also did, every college camp gave $1 for every one of their campers. So that was 100% of our colleges did that have camps. Some other things that we did were a little flippin' 5K festival that you both were at. Thank you very much.
Yes.
It was a festival that was directed. We had 2 of my committee members, Dana Duckworth from Alabama and Lisa Bowerman from Texas Women's. They did the bulk of the work, and I applaud them for it. It was such a special time. So we're looking forward to this next year, making it bigger and better and more of a gymnastics family type of atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Randy. It was like this amazing sisterhood that was on that stage.
When Essence came on as our title sponsor, I'm like, how can we bring the African-American community into this? And it just kind of came out of my brain. My brain sometimes works, and I'm like, what are you thinking? This is crazy. Getting back to the fact of raising money, we raised $100,000, and people are always questioning me, where's that money going? What are you going to do with it? What's the hopes for it? And the biggest hopes for the money that we raise, and I can say 90% of the money that we raise, especially from the invitationals, is going right into an endowment account. And so the hopes is that endowment account will grow and grow and grow so that we can go into a university and say, here you go, here's $250,000 over the next 5 years to start a gymnastics program.
And one of the things, Randy, you talked about in going into these universities, will you also go to schools where they're about to end their program, like with UIC this year, so that we prevent it from happening if we can?
Yes, we actually, we were with UIC all the way, doing everything we could to get messages across. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough power, and it comes down to money. We don't know what was going on in their minds, but the amount of money that they wanted to save the programs was far beyond our scope. So as a committee, I feel like we failed. That's another knife to the heart. We did what we could do, and Peter and Mary were appreciative of everything that we did in trying to help save their program. I don't want that to happen again, so that's why having this endowment account, it may in the future be able to help someone. I mean, I play the lottery as often as I can, hoping that I can give a big chunk of money into the endowment. I still have not won the lottery yet.
How's that been going for you?
That's not been going so well, is it? No. But, I think there are enough people in the gymnastics community that have money and understand what we're trying to do. And I know in the future that there will be people that will step up and say, we believe in what you're doing. Here's $1 million. I wholeheartedly feel that.
Sure. Well, before you leave us, then, talk to our listeners about what they can do to help with this initiative.
There's a lot of things. If they are a club owner and or a invitational host, they can go to our website and sign up to be a committed invitational or a committed club to tacking on $1 to their registration or to their yearly registration for their club. So WCGAGym.com is our website, and then they can just pull down the tab that says CGGI and either make a donation or make a commitment there. And the one thing that I always tell people, it's about relationships. So if you have a relationship with somebody in the athletic department, specifically the athletic director or the president of the university, then getting them to understand what we're about and getting them on our side will only get us one step closer to getting a program added at that school.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Yes. We're going to continue to stay in touch with you to, make sure that we're doing our part in helping with the initiative. Maybe there's $1 million listener out there, $1 million contributor.
Yes. Call me right away.
We're going to have a link to your website.
It's WCGAGYM.com. And then the committee is the CGGI, the Collegiate Gymnastics Growth Initiative.
Perfect, Randy. Thank you so much for talking to us, and make sure you stay in touch with us about your future workshop as well.
I will. Thank you so much for this lovely opportunity, and I'm so glad I got to meet you at our festival this past year.
Me too.
It's nice to put names and faces together to the voices,
Yeah. Well, what I loved when you saw us, you're like, you're Chelsea, and this is Chelsea's mom.
Well, that's the truth, so there you have it.
It is.
Well, good luck.
All the best to you, too.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we are joined by Robyn McGee. Robyn is the newest assistant coach at the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. Hi, Robyn.
Hi.
The smile on your face is beaming.
Yes. It's a long time coming. This journey has been definitely challenging, I will say, and a lot of ups, a lot of downs. It's just exciting to hear other people say it. It's different when I know myself, but then when other people will be like, "Oh, you're the assistant coach for university," it's like, yeah, okay. I like the way that sounds.
Yeah. So we are going to talk to you today about the Collegiate Growth Initiative. As you know, when we spoke with you at the Flippin' 5K, the thoughts that you shared about why this initiative is important to you is something that our listeners need to hear. So can you share that?
Yes, absolutely. So I connected with Dana Duckworth and Randy Lane. For me personally, I am more focused on HBCUs.
And say what HBCU is for those that don't know.
Absolutely. So historically Black college and university. HBCUs were fundamentally rooted for African Americans to attend college because at the time that they were created, African Americans did go through the segregation period of not being able to attend colleges and universities with other races. So that's the tradition, that's the rooted, but now it's grown more. We see a lot more HBCUs. They're a lot more modern. They're culturally invested in all aspects of the world, not just related to African Americans now. For me, seeing the dynamics of what an HBCU offer, I was like, okay, I want to go, of course. Like, that's my dream. But I was also a gymnast. So it's like, okay, well, I want to do college gymnastics. I want to attend an HBCU. And I started researching. And I was like, okay, so what school can I go to? And then that's when it dawned on me that there are at least 100 schools in the United States, HBCUs, and none of them offer the sport of gymnastics recreationally, collegiately, as a club-led or intramural sport, like nothing.
What steps are you taking? What concrete steps are you taking to help complete this goal?
I'm getting my master's in sports management. Where I'm at right now is during my studies, I've communicated with both my professors and advisors of my ideas and my plans. And what they've been helping me to do is kind of get a proposal together. Because on the basis of implementing any type of sport, it needs to be in black and white. So what I've been doing so far is just research on gymnastics as a whole in the college level. So what are the expenses? What are the potential revenues that collegiate gymnastics brings to a school? Recruitment, how do we get those gymnasts that may not know about HBCUs interested in attending an HBCU? Because they have athletic programs. There is an interest level there. Me getting help with that has been my goal, just talking to different people, whether they're in an HBCU environment or not. I mean, at this point, we need all the help we can get.
Sure. Yeah. I want to make sure that as an African-American gymnast, why this is so important to you.
Absolutely. I know for me to have that ability to say I have options and to create another avenue for these athletes, for these young girls that are looking at these schools and saying, hey, I would love to go there, it only makes it better. I wanted that opportunity. And it wasn't for me. I know someone else may not have grown up the same way I did, but may have the same mindset as I do. And I want to create that opportunity for them. I do believe that if we just keep going forward and getting the help we need and just keeping people informed, then we can do great things with this idea.
Well, Robyn, this has been a wonderful interview.
Yes.
Thank you for lending your voice and for sharing your comments and sharing your voice. And I'm going to say it one more time. You've been listening to assistant coach, Robyn McGee, at the University of Wisconsin in La Crosse.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
All the best to you. I know this won't be our last time talking.
Oh, no. Our next time talking, we're going to be moving forward. I'm going to have some news for you guys.
There you go. Can't wait.
Perfect.
Thank you, Robyn, so much.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good story, really good initiative.
This initiative, especially after hearing the news about the University of Alaska gymnastics program, this initiative is so much more important than we all realize because clearly gymnastics programs are getting the boot, unfortunately, when they don't need to be.
And I agree, Chelsea, because you've got this Collegiate Growth Initiative and what's happening with the University of Alaska, but you also have so much diversity in our athletes now that if we can extend gymnastics to historically Black colleges, it gives folks yet another look at competing so that they don't have to make a choice. At that flipping 5K race at Nationals, part of that program had African-American athletes on the stage, and they shared experiences of the sport and what it has meant to them and their career, but also choices they had to make. And so I think it's just a very good initiative that could do a lot of great things. So good luck, Randy. It was great to talk to you. And Robyn, thank you as well for sharing your truth. And best of luck to you at the University of Wisconsin in La Crosse.
And we'll have the CGGI link on our website. So if you all would like to donate, feel free to do that. Or if you just want to learn more about what you can do to help this initiative, feel free to check it out.
And if you guys would like to continue to keep track of what's happening at the University of Alaska, we encourage you to take a look at College Gym News. College Gym News is your one-stop shop for all things college gymnastics. For event coverage, leotard rankings, in-depth features, fantasy gymnastics resources, and more, visit collegegymnews.com.
And if you're interested in supporting CGN's expanding coverage, visit collegegymnews.com/donate. College Gym News, all the college gymnastics news you want, all in one place.
It's been a great show, Chelsea. My brain hurts.
I know,
now.
right? I haven't done that much thinking in a long time.
I know. And we weren't really thinking. We were pontificating.
Wow.
I know. That's not a good thing, though.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know what that means.
It means just yammering and not really making a decision and not knowing enough information to make a decision, but you're still yammering. I think that's what we just did.
Okay, well, I think because there was so much talked about, I think we should each come up with a question that we want our listeners to react on.
Oh, I know. Which one I'm going with.
What?
Sleeping pods. Do you hate it or do you love it?
Well, it's not so much the actual sleeping pod itself.
That's not what I meant either. It was a broader, do you hate it? Do you hate the whole concept of a private donor giving money to a school to give sleeping pods to 75 athletes on the football team? Or do you love it because, hey, it's a private donor and they can give money where they want to give money?
And the football team makes the money, so why not spend the money on the football team?
That's what I meant by do you love it or do you hate it?
That's a good question.
All right. Now yours.
Oh, here's a question.
Okay.
My question would be, if you were a gymnast,
collegiate gymnast,
and someone on the team, their gymnastics abilities were kind of questionable. And
a little suspect.
And they weren't a manager, okay? Like managers, I think that's a different situation.
So they were still getting the Leo and the warm-up
They
and the
were
shoes.
on the team as a gymnast.
They were traveling.
Yes.
They were rolling with you.
But she just wasn't up to par with everybody else.
Okay.
Would you just be like, all right, it is what it is. I'm just lucky to be on the team myself. Mm-hmm. Or would you say, yo, ethically, this isn't how I roll?
Well, look at that. That's a good question. But I think that's the point. That's what we want to hear from our listeners about. What do you think?
Yeah.
Would you say something or would you live your life and let everybody else live theirs?
Yeah. Let us know.
Good question, Chels.
Yeah. So you can tweet us. Our Twitter is @RoutinePodcast. You can email us. A lot of you have been emailing us, so thank you, at info@theroutinepodcast.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
And we've just given you 2 questions that you could leave voicemails about. Mm-hmm. Very good questions.
Yeah.
And we would love to hear your voice. And this way you can start gearing up your voice for season when we're really, really going to want your voicemails. Mm-hmm. And you do that by going to our website. You'll see at the top of the navigation something that says be a part of the conversation. You click that, you scroll to the bottom, you'll see a microphone. You click the microphone and you leave us a voicemail message.
And if you like today's episode or any of our summer series episodes, be sure to give us 5 stars on the Apple Podcast app, leave us a review, and make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
It's been fun, Chelsea.
As always, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.